afternoon, everyone. Hello, welcome to Career Tip Tuesday. I am your co host, Sherry Sims, founder of Black Career Women's Network. And Black Career Women's Network is an organization that helps Black career women with their professional development. Since 2012, we have helped thousands of women to help them to create the positive change they want to see in their careers. And then I also have my co host, because we're both co hosts, we do this thing together, Miss Makita Matthews, our Chief Network Officer. And today we don't really have a topic because we figured, hey, this is Career Tip Tuesday, like Makita said. So we should be opening this up to make sure that we are answering all of your career questions. Now, they're coming in now, Makita. So thank you. Look, they know the drill too. Listen, look, they know
Yes,
let us know where they are tuning in from. We see Aaron from New
yes,
York and Sherry
yes.
from Dallas and Lincoln Houston
Hello.
from Cali. Thank you so much, you all, for
Yes.
sharing with us where you are tuning in from. This is great. So I
All
know.
of you Atlanta ladies, connect with me on LinkedIn. I use a phrase from Marcia Haygood, one of our good friends and supporters. Don't send me a LinkedIn message. Don't send me a lazy LinkedIn message, but I do want you to connect with me on LinkedIn. Let me know you're in Atlanta. I am still getting to learn everybody and understanding what you Atlanta ladies need. So just let me know.
Exactly, we do. We love that, and thank you for that, Tammy. Tammy says she loves our energy. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.
Makia and I've been working together for a long time, so
Mhm.
we know a lot about each other and how, and we work really well together. She's
Mhm.
amazing. I'm an old head, she's a young head, and I learned a lot from her.
We do a lot of good balancing. We
We do
do.
a
We
lot
do.
of good balancing. Yes, we do. We see Erica from Texas.
Yeah.
Priscilla, she's joining from Guyana.
Oh,
Love it.
hi.
Maxon from Montreal. Love it. And then look, there's
Nice.
Shantae from Atlanta. Connect
Hey,
with Makita.
Shantae.
She's in
Yeah,
Atlanta.
everyone.
And we'll make sure to provide the LinkedIn, her LinkedIn with you all at the end. And you all know how to find me on LinkedIn. I'm always on there all the time. All right. So we really typically we have a topic for Career Tip Tuesday, which is our way of providing you with tips. But this Tuesday we wanted to open up to Q&A to all for all of you.
Mhm.
In reference to answering your questions in real time as well, which is what this is all about. Is making sure that you are getting career tips and actionable insight that you can take and just apply it, go back and apply it
Mhm.
immediately, right? Where there's, not a lot of planning and strategy, but just what can you go back and start immediately applying that you can start seeing some results. And that's what we're here, to do. So love that. I see there's another Jamie from Atlanta. Hey, Jamie,
Jamie.
connect because Makita is in Atlanta. So please connect with
Yes.
her via LinkedIn. I see Wanda's here and tuning in from the Bronx, and we have Misslyn from Alabama, and I see somebody from VA in St. Louis watching. I love it.
Monica from St. Louis. Hello.
If you all are not connected with us on LinkedIn, please go to our LinkedIn page and follow the page. And you can also follow us on LinkedIn as well in any of our social media. And since we're waiting for some questions to come through, we might as well go ahead and let them know too. If you have not connected with us in terms of being able to stay on top of what we do here at Black Rooms Network and the resources and programs and services that we offer, make sure you download our app. You can go to the Apple Store or Google Play to download our app. That way, what do we call this, Mickey? Do we say like career development, professional development in your pocket,
In
something
your
like that?
pocket. Yep, that's right.
Yeah. So make sure that we have a very robust, highly intuitive uh, mobile app that we have spent a lot of time to share and provide resources for. Okay, enough of that. All right, questions for us now, Makita. I did want to share this. So I know that our 2 weeks ago when we did our it's Black Career Women's Network. Tammy is the name of the um, our mobile app.
Name of the org. Yes, yes.
Mhm.
You can download it on Apple or the Google App Store.
Yeah. All right. So Maxine has a question for us. She says, "Do you have any tips to transition into a director role?" Mm.
Very,
Yeah,
very good question. Very good
good
question.
question. Yes. So I would say a couple of things that you would want to do. One, if you're looking to transition into a director role currently where you work, you should start having the conversations with your boss about
Mhm,
what you want your career trajectory to be within the organization. So
mhm,
that way, if you desire to become if you desire to become a director, and this will be your, well, I guess twofold answer to that. If you want to become a director because this is your first leadership role, then you should be asking for support for leadership development first. Okay, I always say you should do the work before you get there, because if you don't do the work
mhm,
when you get there, you may not stay there. So
mhm,
do the if you have not started doing the work to develop yourself as a leader, do that first. In that way, it'll be an easier transition into a director role. Second, if you have been a leader before in other organizations and you're just looking to move up and go into a director role, then make sure still have the conversation with your boss about what you want your career direct trajectory to be, and start finding support to help you with that, or make sure that your performance is in alignment with her, so where she can speak to you
mhm.
in the rooms when you're not there, or recommend you for leadership roles, or if she has a new position that comes open in her um, right in her direct line, then she can consider you for that. Either way,
That's,
you have to prepare and position yourself either
that's,
way.
that's right. I even might, and what I'm about to say really depends on the company culture because you can't do it everywhere. But I might even have just an open, in general, conversation with HR and say, hey, what are the hard skills and the soft skills needed for any director position at this level? What are some of the expectations of directors to just get an understanding of the skills? But then that'll, trigger them to know and to think, oh, XYZ is, I think as Maxon, you asked the question, Maxon's
Mhm.
looking to move into the director position, and the HR and the business units, all of those, they talk about their talent, they talk about the development, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
And so having the conversations on both the side of your leader, any of the, leaders that you're looking to, take that director's position into, and that respective HR partner to understand what those needs are, it can be a really good win for you.
Yeah, that's a really, I mean, those are really great, excellent points that Makita just made. And just remember, you're responsible for your own development, even if your leader doesn't support it, right? So even if you aspire to become a director and you're not getting the support of your manager, it's still your responsibility to do that. And there could be other ways that you can navigate through. As Makita said, one way she just shared is a great way to be able to do that. So there's other ways you can still obtain that experience, or the skills that you need to become the type of leader that is effective and successful in that organization. Now, if you're looking to become that a leader outside of there, still do the work, and that just
Mhm.
means you'll have to prepare for your job search. So I hope that's helpful,
That's right.
Maxon.
Thank you for the question, Maxon. Zevia, I hope I pronounced your name wrong, right, excuse me. She asks, what tips can you offer for complete career changes? I'm considering a career change from operations to HRM.
Well, I would definitely say that moving from operations to, I'm assuming human resources manager is what you're referring to. I'm assuming that that may not be an easy feat to, easy task to do, specifically if you don't have any HR experience. Now, if you've been doing HR operations, or if you've been doing hiring and have some understanding of the basics of foundations about how HR operates, that will be helpful. Okay, but if you come from operations from an industry to where you really are not involved in that, and if you're in operations, it depends. Are you a lead? Are you in a individual contributor role? Or are you currently in a leadership role? Because if you're in a leadership role, then you should have some basic understanding of HR.
Mhm.
Okay, that is going to be a plus, because I know that sometimes it's a little bit difficult to get into HR depending on what function you're trying to get into. So I think for you, you might want to look at kind of assess assess what skills you have right now that are transferable into an HR manager role, and then I would look at your industry, because more than likely your business acumen and everything will be pretty much the same. So that way there may only be a couple of skill sets that you'll need to probably hone in on, that you'll need to develop to kind of make that segue into it. And it may not be an manager position that you actually start out in. It might be a generalist position or something that may be an individual contributor, so you can at least get the industry experience you need, because you have
That's,
to remember trends are moving away from degrees. Okay, they're looking at
mhm,
experience, they're looking at skill sets, they're looking
mhm,
at a lot of other things you bring to the table. So this is very
mhm,
important to think about. For those of you
mhm,
who are out there getting five masters, stop.
mhm.
You don't need them.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep. Mhm.
because it's not because experience trumps education. It always really has, but that trend is now finally going back to what it used to be, which is
Yeah.
educate. Experience is trumping education.
Experience. Yeah, I agree. And Max, and I'm looking at your comment, but I want to offer it up to Zivia as well. But any sort of voluntary roles in the specific area that you can find, try to take those, even if it may be church or it may be, some other place. Try to help there. So, for example, if go to the HR department at church, ask them if they need some help, and do that for a little bit. If they accept your help,
Yeah,
I'm sure they will.
and
Other
volunteering roles are good.
501c3s,
Hmm.
and do it for about 2, 3 months, see how you feel, you like it, but it gives you the experience that you need to be able to talk,
Hmm.
the HR management sort of skill set.
Yeah, and not only that, but volunteering broadens your network.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
because you're meeting new people during that volunteering, journey. And I know that's that was one of the things that I was able to transition my career from HR into career coaching. Was I was volunteering for this organization, and when a career coach position came open, I applied, but I had already been building relationships with them because I was volunteering
Mhm.
monthly. So again, that opens broadens your network when you do that. So thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
Next one is Chelsea. Chelsea, I hope
We'll
I'm
see.
pronouncing your name right as well. How do you deal with timid bosses who believes in change and organizational development but doesn't take charge in making those changes to their leaders or to the people who can actually sign up on the changes? Hmm.
Mm. Set you some skip level monthly meetings. Set them up.
Yeah. Not only do you need to set up the skip level monthly meetings, but you probably need to give yourself some insight into what could be going on with
Yeah.
those bosses too. There's
Mhm.
obviously either some political unsavviness going on, which means they don't have the political savvy to navigate the spaces, or there's some insecurity there,
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
just a lack of their own personal development in terms of
Mhm.
assertiveness,
Mhm.
strategic thinking, being able to problem solve quickly. So there's probably some skill set challenges there, and the only reason why I'm saying that you need to kind of assess it and acknowledge that, because as you use the skip level. As you skip level instead of set those meetings, you still need to be mindful of where
That's right.
where those behaviors could be coming from, and then
That's
possibly see how you can support it, because
right.
or see what more you can find out
Yeah,
of
yeah.
why they behave the way they do, because there has to
I,
be a reason behind it.
I agree. Doing your own sort of assessment should come first before the skip
Hmm.
level. So absolutely right. And if it's because you never know what your boss may say, it may be a situation where the plan hasn't been documented thoroughly, or I'm not comfortable with this phase or whatever. And to Sherry's point, it's an opportunity for you to show how you can support and how you can fill that gap. But just even asking in a nice professional way, not exactly like this, but what does it take for you to move? Is something
Hmm.
you got to figure out how to ask your boss and then support there.
Yeah, yeah. Good, good. That's good, Nikita. That was really good to give her. So I hope that was helpful, Justin. We're going to keep going down the line so we can get all the questions answered. They're coming in now. Maxon also says, also where I work, they haven't had any black people, let alone black women in a position of directorship. Yeah. So here's the thing, the whole being the only, play it to your advantage, be confident with that. It's okay to be the only. Take it and use that to showcase your abilities, toot your own horn, gain visibility. Just use it to your advantage. Is what I say. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like, let's reverse this whole I'm the only now. Let's reverse it and say, how can we use this to our advantage?
Yeah. And thank you for bringing that additional insight because now I'm going to our DE&I person and I'm asking the question, why is this?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I'm not saying, of course you want it to be me, but I'm saying, indirectly, what's going on here?
Yeah, and it
This
doesn't
is
mean that
right.
and she's, I mean, and Makita is 100% right, right? It's like, we're not saying that, yeah, you want to own it, you want to doubt, you want to use it to your advantage. Doesn't mean you don't go question why you're the only. It's just
Mhm.
that because you're in that position, you make the best of that moment until
Yeah.
things can be
Yeah.
more diverse. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Because
it's just, go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, I was going to say because asking the question, you might find out exactly why, and you might not like that answer, and you might want to rethink. That might lead you to rethink going over there.
That's
And
true.
because there's a lot of politics and there's a lot of
Hmm.
cultural nuances that we could do all we can to understand it, but there's more than what we know. And, the people at that level, including HR and DE&I, might know exactly why and might give you some suggestions, some insights, or some tips on why this is happening, why it hasn't happened before, what the culture is like, how, leadership works or whatever. And,
Hmm.
give you really the tools or the understanding to really make a decision. Do you even want to go there? Because being honest, some stuff's not worth it.
Yeah, you have to assess, and this is where having that political savviness comes into play. We always say, read the room, know the
Mhm.
players in the game, because like you said, it may not even be worth it.
Mhm.
All right. Next one is Priscilla Akia. She says, how do you find a good remote job in HR/operations in Canada/US? I live in Ghana.
That's a really good question. So having not been in that position, what I might do is do a Google search on American companies or Canadian companies and that have operations in what part of Ghana you live in or very close to, and understanding what those kind of satellite offices, what their specialty is. I know, for example, for me working for a multinational company, we have a lot of data analytics offices in different parts of the country because you put you know that sort of satellite office in South America and in Asia, then 24/7 analytics are running, right? Or customer service uh, jobs in different parts of the country. So I would start with understanding what Canadian or what U.S. companies are have offices in your area and understand what those offices are focused on. And Sherry pulls up a really good resource, flexjobs.com, that you might want to check out.
Yeah, flexjobs.com is a really great source for remote positions. And so I would, that's another resource you can use in addition to, some of Makita's recommendations. And a lot of the job boards out there have sections for remote roles.
Mhm.
So you might want to just maybe do your, search those job boards too, for that. But Flex Jobs is 100% remote jobs only, but a lot of the job boards will offer, you can do a search for those specifically. So I hope that's helpful. And then you also, Priscilla, may want to start joining some virtual networking groups, and get the word out that you're looking, right? Because word of mouth is always good for recommendations for roles as well. So you might want to broaden your network too, to start and use it as a reference.
So Danielle asks, what tips can you ladies offer in removing fears of leaving permanent employment to consulting and contract roles?
Mm,
Good question. I, my personal opinion, I would start off with understanding what my fixed expenses are every single month. I'm starting with the finances. Understand everything that I have to pay every single month, and then understanding how quickly I need to get clients, what the going rate for each particular project needs to be. So I'm going to start off with financially, what is this going to take? Right. So,
mhm,
and I know not everybody thinks like that, but I'm thinking about how do I at least continue to live, right? And then once I figure that out, I'm going through, okay, what is the skill set that I offer? And really kind of putting that sort of proposal together because we all know we have additional skills that we're not utilizing at work. We know that that happens. But what are those skills and how do I sell them to who and who's looking for them? So I would really start with the finances, and then I start with going through all of the things that I can offer and who I could sell it to.
yeah, and I think also, that if you removing the fears from this, I think one, you need to know your why. Why do you want to do this, first of all? If
Mhm.
you're clear on your why, then a lot of times the fear could just be because you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. I mean, getting that paycheck every 2 weeks or once a week or once a month, however you get paid, knowing that the work that we transactionally are doing will offer up this pay,
Mhm.
it's, I think it's natural, so don't feel guilty. It's natural to feel a sense of fear about um, leaving that and going
Leaving.
into consulting and contractors roles, because contractor roles and consulting can be lucrative,
Mhm.
but it definitely takes some savvy in order to keep that consistently coming through.
Yeah, I agree. It's really removing the fear with planning. You know, one thing I learned very early
Hmm.
in my finance career is you plan for three scenarios: worst case scenario, the most likely scenario, and best case scenario. Make sure this worst case scenario is something that you're still willing to do and still
Hmm.
willing to potentially go through an experience. And if you can say yes to that, then you know you've at least planned literally for the worst, and you know what to expect. But
Hmm.
removing removing fears is hard, but I think it starts with planning.
Yeah. I hope that's helpful, Danielle. And if you want to kind of talk about that further, just reach out to us,
Mhm.
or sign up to be connected in our community, so we can continue the conversation with
Yeah.
you. Um, so Jasmine asked, "Do you think it's worth it to pursue an MBA degree?"
Again, ask yourself why.
Yeah.
So, do you plan on what you call it? Do you plan on running your own company? Do you plan on moving up in the corporate ladder and you see those peers, you know, where you want to be? Do they all have MBAs? But again, to Sherry's point, people are looking at experience now. So you have to ask yourself why, and that'll
Yeah.
help. Now,
It,
if you're asking for our personal opinion, do you think it's worth pursuing a MBA degree? It again, it
it
depends.
all depends. It all depends on what it is you're trying to accomplish, and if what you're the position you're trying to acquire or achieve to get to,
Mhm.
if having an MBA is necessary to get there. And that's the thing. I don't want anybody to go back to the replay and look at this and say, Sherry said don't get no degree now. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you
Mhm.
have to assess if the career aspirations you have if that degree is necessary now,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Because it may not be necessary to achieve success. And I always say your success is not tied to a 4-year education anyway,
Mhm.
because you have innate gifts and talents within you that a 4-year degree can't didn't teach you.
Mhm.
So you have to tap into what those
Mhm.
are, right?
That's
And
right.
so I always and have always said college education was set up to really kind of, yes, open up you to more opportunities, but also to increase your salary potential. But
Mhm.
now with the playing field changing, where it's kind of going back to those golden days or baby boomer days of experience over the education piece. Look, there's always going to be roles that will require education. Okay, we don't need a doctor out there with nothing. You gotta go to school, bro, or
Yeah.
female, whoever you are. You gotta go to
That's right.
school. Okay, but we'll say this: you have to tap into the talents and gifts that you have and look for creative ways to be able to use those strengths, because that's what's going to
Mhm.
help you to be successful, is using those strengths.
Mhm.
So this is about
Mhm.
changing your mindset about how you show up and what success really means in terms of, success means different things for different people. We're
Mhm.
talking about using your natural gifts and talents
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
become successful, and
That's right.
something that sometimes a 4-year education just can't provide that. So again, all this stuff is optional. We're just talking about you changing your mindset of being open to, is it necessary to have it, or can I be successful with what I naturally have been given for those roles?
That's right.
Because some people have strengths and gifts in areas that
That's right.
if they choose the right profession, they're going to shine anyway, because they're using their natural gifts and talents in a role that
Mhm.
sets them up for success, regardless of
Mhm.
what challenges they may have to overcome.
Yeah. Yeah. So just that's just our perspective. You to answer that question, you really got to dig down deep and ask why you want to do this.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and if you have a specific job title of the role you're looking to be in,
mhm.
just do your research and see has a lot of people who've been hiring this role, has a degree been required? Because if a degree is really truly required, then you will need to obtain it to get to that role.
That's right.
But you
That's
have to
right.
do your research.
That's right. That's right. So Jasmine, thank you for the question. We have sorry. We have one more question I think we can answer for time. Um, this is the next one I see. Okay, Rondika, I hope I am pronouncing that right. I am so sorry if I'm not. She says, I've been at my company for almost 15 years. Wow. I've had several promotions, lateral moves. I don't think the growth potential is still there as the company is becoming a more flat organization. Um, my family thinks I should stay, but I feel like there's something more. Do you think I should stay and see what the potential is here? Um,
Ooh, that's a well.
okay.
We could give quite a few opinions on that,
So,
but the
yeah,
final is up to you what you do. But what we can do is give you something to think about.
yeah, yeah. So I completely agree. There are many questions that you need to ask yourself. There are many
Hmm.
questions that you need to ask HR and leadership. Sorry, it's one, y'all. I'm getting all these
That's okay.
notifications.
Yeah, I
Um,
know McKee's gonna have to hang stay up,
yeah,
jump off,
I
but
do have to hop
I'm
off.
gonna stay on to answer the questions for you guys.
So, my question to you is, being there 15 years, what is your what does the structure look like as it relates to pension, being fully vested, all of these different things? Is it a situation where if you leave, all of that kind of unravels, and so you got to think about, again, finance, right? I'm thinking about finances. Um, is everything going to unravel if you leave? So are there financial benefits to you staying? Um, and I'm not a fan of staying where you are not valued. I am not a fan of staying where you are not appreciated. So
Hmm.
I have to put that in there. But is it a situation where for the next 15 years, Are you coasting and you have time to do a side hustle, your passion? You have time to build your business, right? Again, because I'm thinking about you're in there. I think you retire what after 30 years, or is it 35 years, Sherry,
Yeah,
of
but
being
you
in the
know, you
workplace?
know how I feel about that.
Yeah. So just asking yourself that question. You need to ask HR and your leadership confirming, hey, I'm seeing what's going on in the organization. It's becoming more flat. What does this mean? Are there more changes on the horizon? Are there organization structural changes coming? Is my role or my department looking at changes, right? So you got to ask some of those questions. But the fact that you said, I feel like there's something more, tells me that you already know that there is something more and there's something else that you are desiring. And so find that out and then go back to the company and say, hey, this is what I think, this is my plan, this is kind of what I want to do. You have to use the right words, but this is what I see. This is where I see myself. Can we accommodate that? And remind them, I've been here for 15 years. I've had promotions, I've had lateral moves, I've done a lot. Can we collaborate on a way for me to get what I need, but also in that same vein, positively benefiting the organization by
Yeah,
XYZ with me doing this. So
but I
that's my
do.
2 cents. And I got to roll. I am so sorry. Sherry, we should do this again where we just ask questions.
Yeah, but
Instead of
I
just,
have another perspective I want to share with Renika. But Makita, I know Makita's got to run. I'm going to share the perspective with Rodnika, and Makita would be back with us in 2 weeks. You know when we do part one. I know she's always got to go at one
bye,
point.
everyone. And
Bye,
again, like I said,
Makita.
you Atlanta ladies, send me a LinkedIn message, connect with me, let me know that
Mhm,
you saw this so that we can connect
mhm.
at some point.
Yes,
Please don't send me a lazy LinkedIn message saying,
I know,
hey,
right?
hey,
So,
I saw you or whatever. I'm everywhere. So I don't know what that means. Where? But I look forward to connecting with you all and
all
everyone
right.
have a good Tuesday. Bye,
All
Sherry.
right. Bye. Renika, I'm gonna answer your question. I'm gonna give you another perspective from Makita's perspective. And the perspective that I want to give you is one, you've been there 15 years. It probably is time to go, but I'm just gonna say that and give you something to think about, okay? Two, yes, it's great that you've had promotions and you had lateral moves. And I'm gonna go back to because Makita knows I'm a big component of this, so she knows I was gonna take this there anyway. Because the fact that you're saying that you feel like there is more means that you probably have some innate gifts and talents you are not using. So you do have to take the time to discover what those are. Now, when you take the time to discover what those are, you may not be able to use them where you are. So yeah, you definitely want to go back to your organization and kind of inquire about that. But again, you need to kind of really take a deep dive into have you given everything you can to where you are, and then what does this next level of your life looks like. There's a quote that I share a lot with the women in BCWN. There's a couple of you on here probably have heard me say this before. This is going to give you another perspective. Okay, the life God gave you is larger than the life you've been living. So do not continue to stay comfortable because you've been there for 15 years. That's great, but there's a whole nother full place of opportunity out there for you to take what you've used or take what you've learned and use it in a different way or utilize it in a place, utilize it somewhere else. So you owe it to yourself to start exploring. You owe it to yourself to start exploring. There's a reason why you feel the way you do. Now you need to start doing the work to discover why you feel the way you do so you can start making the decisions that's going to serve you well for the bigger picture of where you want to go next, right? The financial piece is great. We can have the financial security, but if we don't have that fulfillment in what we're doing, then that takes away from that. So again, take some time to really think about what it is you want to do, and you owe it to yourself to discover what other gifts and talents you have and how you can use those. So I hope that's helpful for you because that's important to know. All right. Valerie says, how I would like to move from an operation HR role to a more strategic role. I haven't found much help or mentorship. Should I start with LinkedIn Learning? Absolutely. Utilize the tools that you have in front of you to be able to help elevate yourself, right? And then that way you can start understanding moving from operations of HR into more of a strategic role. First, you need to figure out, do your research within HR functions and say what makes sense for my next level of what I want to do within HR. So, for example, I started out in my career doing talent acquisition, and I decided, okay, what else do I want to kind of explore and learn in terms of moving into more of a strategy role? So I moved into an HR generalist role where I learned how to do payroll and investigations, employee relations, and employee engagement and benefits and all of those things, right? And then I figured out, okay, I really don't like some of this, and some of the other things I really did enjoy. So that way you can figure out that strategic role you're looking for, what function of HR does that fit into? Maybe it's an HR business partner. Maybe it's being, maybe it's being a lead of some sort, or maybe you want to be, eventually be a chief HR, chief HRO, whatever that looks like. So take the time to do that. And if you haven't found much mentorship, I'm going to put it out there because you're on our, you're watching our call. We have a mentorship program with the BCWN of women who are in all different types of industries and levels in their careers. So my recommendation is, hey, we're right here. Maybe you can find your mentor within our network. So I just wanted to share that with you as well. But start using LinkedIn Learning to take some of those courses because that will be helpful to you as well. And if you haven't, get you a membership with SHRM, which is Society of Human Resources Management. So that way you can also get connected with your local human resources membership and get connected that way. Oh, wait a minute. I can see your initials. You're already there. You already got your SHRM CP. You're good. Okay, never mind. I just thought it on your name. So start utilizing that more in your local chapter. That's what you need to do is start utilizing that more. Get involved in some of their, some of the things that they offer, whether it's networking events, overall events they may have, speaking engagements. Get involved with them because you can find your next opportunity through that as well. All right, Crystal says gain visibility. Love that. Be a self advocate. Absolutely. Hello, Crystal. Love that. Absolutely love that. All right. And then Tammy says, what's the best way to go from medical field with a bachelor's in tech without a degree in IT? Oh, good question. And that's a little bit more different when it comes to education. Sometimes you need that. Coming from medical field to a bachelor's and into tech without a degree in IT, I will tell you that that's an industry where you do have to sometimes be heavily networking, and then having some experience is important. Uh, Try to get some experience of some sort, volunteer position, or if you can't go down to a basic role to kind of get you the basics of tech foundation, you definitely need to find a way to get that experience. That's going to be a tough one to crack if you don't have it. All right. Oh, I love Chelsea. She said she loves LinkedIn Learning. That's great. Let me see if there's any other questions. And if not, we can wrap up. I see one here. What are some virtual networking groups to join for human resources? Virtual groups. Oh, HR Girlfriends is a great one. I love HR Girlfriends. So if you haven't heard of HR Girlfriends, it's a great networking group. I forgot the name of the Black woman who owns it, but that's a great group to be involved in. Be involved in your local HR chapter. If you haven't, that's a great way to get connected with your local HR as well. And then there's a couple of HR groups on LinkedIn that you can be connected in as well. So I love that. Precious says, my daughter is looking to break into HR. She has some experience, but her current role is not in HR. Okay, so if she's wanting to, I think she needs to definitely probably join SHRM, start volunteering, get connected with some of those groups. Depending on if she wants to break into HR, the best way to break into HR, there's two ways. One, find like a recruiter position, entry level recruiter position, or like an HR coordinator, HR specialist, where you're doing light admin work, entry level, and breaking in that way. Unless she has a strong network that can give her that will consider her for an opportunity. So I think that would be a great way to do that. All right. And then I think I'm trying to see if there's any other questions here that we'll be answering. I think we're wrapped up on that. Oh, okay. So, okay, she says, what's a good group for electrical engineering? Good question. What I would do is just Google engineering groups. Like, think about groups like GE, and think about some of those different, the higher level company, higher level companies, those big companies who will have a lot of those positions. But just say looking for, I would just type in looking for groups for electrical engineering. Do it inside of LinkedIn first and then Google. Because sometimes those roles may not necessarily be on LinkedIn. They may have their own groups outside of LinkedIn because not everybody uses it in the way that others will. So that's where I would start. And then maybe look in your company and see if there is any type of group, or even suggest to your organization that maybe they can start like a affinity group for electrical engineers, and it kind of be like a mentoring group of some sort. So you can always take that back to the company you work for and suggest they start a group for electrical engineers within the organization if you're looking for a mentor. So that I think would be a great way to do that. All right. So I don't see any more questions. So I'm going to, oh, Maxon says, I was wondering, do you support ladies like me in another country? I'm British, living and working in Canada, but I would like to move back to working and living in Europe. Do you support women like me? Absolutely. We have women that are in our network that are in the UK, who are in Canada. So you are more than welcome to be a part of our network, access the resources and the services that we offer. So absolutely think that you should definitely do that. Chelsea, thank you. You said this is your first time joining and you love what we're doing. Thank you so much. Yes, and we'll be back. We do this every other Tuesday from 12:30 to 1. So just wanted to share that with you as well. All right, you all. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Makita's gone. Now I got to get back to work too. So I hope that this was great. I hope that you all enjoyed the Q&A we had today. Robin says it was a pleasure spending my lunchtime with you ladies. Forum is very insightful. I'm glad. I'm so glad, Robin. Again, if you all have not, make sure that you become a part of our community. You can go to bcwnetwork.com, which is our website. Or you can also go to or just download our app from the App Store or Google Play. Either way, we want you to continue to get what you need to support and empower you all as Black women in the workplace, because I think it's so important that we as Black women have a community, a belonging community connection for us as we navigate these workspaces. So you can go to bcwnetwork.com, or you can download download our app from Apple or Google Play. All right. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, you guys, so I can get back to work and you all can get back to work. And I hope you all have an amazing rest of your work week. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye, everyone.